I'm always encouraging folks to get outside, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your house, just start walking and go hiking, backpacking, or even plan on going on a long distance through hike. Now, getting outside presents a potential hazard in that you're exposed to the elements, and sometimes that can be pretty dangerous. So in this video, I want to go over the severe weather conditions that you will be facing or possibly be facing while you're out on trail, how to identify those conditions, what to do when you're faced with those conditions, and also how to avoid them. So sit up straight, listen carefully, and let's get it. When I did the Pacific Crest Trail, I was walking through the Mojave Desert, and it got extremely hot one day. It got up to 114 degrees. I stopped, pitched my tent, and got out of the sun and tried to get a little bit of shade underneath a Joshua tree. I was suffering from heat exhaustion and dehydration. I made a real dumb mistake. I thought I could go about 8 miles with about this much water in the bottom of my smart water bottle. I was stumbling across the trail. I had extreme headache. I was just very dehydrated, and basically I was in very bad shape. You need to know the symptoms of when you're going into heat exhaustion and dehydration, and you got to have a plan on what to do. Now, if you start feeling these symptoms, or you start experiencing these symptoms, headache, dizziness, nausea, or vomiting, a faster than normal pulse, excessively red, sweaty, or clammy skin, feeling very confused and very disoriented, feeling lightheaded, or even passing out. If you're feeling muscle pains or spasm or getting cramps, or if you're feeling weakness or fatigue, you're experiencing heat-related illness, and you need to cool your body down as quickly as possible. Now, the first thing you need to do is to get out of the sun and get into some type of shade. If it's a little bush or whatever, get underneath that bush, but get out of the sun. That's number one. Now, another thing you can do is to wear light clothing. Light-colored shirts and light-colored clothing are a lot more cooler than dark-colored ones are. If you're by a stream or a water source or something like that, the first thing to do is perhaps maybe wet yourself down, dip your hat and your clothes into the water, and then put that hat on so it'll cool your head off and cool your body off. Take a bandana or a buff and wet it real good with the water and put it on the back of your neck and hike a little bit that way, and that'll cool you off. Again, if you're at a water source, you might want to drink a little bit of extra water. Now, you got to be careful about drinking a lot of water at one time, but it's not going to hurt to camel up about a liter of water before you take off. But make sure that you carry plenty of water and not get caught with just a little bit of water. Now, I don't have a trucker hat on right now, but usually I'll have a trucker hat which has a vented back here, and that lets the heat off of your head, and again, it makes you feel a little bit cooler. Now, the best thing you can do during extreme heat conditions is to only hike during the cool part of the day. Usually when it gets hot, the best thing you want to do is to find a shady spot and then take a siesta. I mean, get out of the sun during the hottest part of the day and then start hiking maybe in the afternoon when the sun starts going down. One thing I did when I started hiking in the Mojave Desert and it was so hot is I would do a lot of night hiking. Again, you don't get to see a lot of stuff, but you're hiking during the coolest part of the day during the nighttime, and then, like I said, take a siesta during the hottest part of the day, and then start hiking again. But the main thing is, when you start feeling these symptoms that I mentioned before, is to get out of the sun and immediately get into the shade until your body cools off. One day I was hiking in the Sierra and I tried to outrun this storm, and I was in an exposed area, and so I got down in elevation as quickly as I could and set up my tent. And I mean, it wasn't like, I would say 3 minutes. I got in my tent, and then all of a sudden it started hailing. And which is not a good sign, and thunderstorm and also lightning. Oh my goodness, the lightning was crazy. Now, the best thing to do is to be aware of potential weather conditions that are coming up. If you're in a trail town and you have internet service, there's all kinds of apps that you can download, weather apps that you can download so that you'll know what kind of weather conditions that you're going to be facing when you go out on the trail again. But the best thing that you can do during a thunderstorm or lightning storm is to get as low as you can, and don't try to be around any kind of tall trees or tall anything, so that the lightning would hit that tree or pole or whatever and come down and strike you also. Now, you can find out how far the storm is from you by noting the lightning and then counting. We used to do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, but count down, and that will tell you how many miles until the thunder sounds, and that will tell you how many miles away the storm is. If you see the lightning and then immediately hear the thunder, you're in trouble. When I did the Ireland Way, it rained about 60% of the time that I was on the trail. Most of the time that I was hiking on the trail, a passing cloud would come over and it would start raining, and so I would put my rain jacket on, and then I would go a little bit further and it would stop and I'd take my rain jacket off. But one day it started raining in the morning and it just continued to rain all day long. And I'm not talking about just a little passing cloud. It was extreme, extreme rain. And I got to the point where I was shivering, and I started feeling the effects of hypothermia coming on. What I should have done is, when I started feeling like I was going into hypothermia, I should have stopped, set my tent up, and got inside the tent as quickly as I could and took all the wet clothes off, and then got into my my sleeping quilt and got warm that way. But before you even go out, make sure that you have a good rain outfit, a good rain jacket and good rain pants. Once you start getting cold and wet, it's a perfect formula for hypothermia. Now, make sure that you are wearing quick drying hiking clothes, so that when it does stop raining, that your clothes will dry very quickly. And whatever you do, do not wear cotton. They always say that cotton kills, and the reason why is because it doesn't dry very quickly, and it stays wet, and it stays cold also. And again, that's a formula for hypothermia. Also, you want to make sure that you keep all the things that you want to stay dry, make sure it stays dry inside of your backpack. Make sure that your backpack is waterproof. Most backpacks that are made of Dyneema material are waterproof, but what I like to do is I will put a pack liner, or just basically a trash bag inside of my backpack. And anything that I don't want to get wet, I'll put that inside of the garbage compactor bag, and then roll it up real tight, put it inside of my backpack. Again, when I was hiking in the Sierra, I went across Glen Pass, and it was just solid snow, and the snow during the night, well, during the daytime it would melt, but then at nighttime it would refreeze, and so you were just walking on a sheet of ice basically. And it is very, very concerning and very, very scary when you're walking across that. Make sure that you have an ice axe if you're in snow. Make sure that you have crampons, or at least micro spikes as you walk in the snow and the ice and things like that. But everything is slippery, and so you have to be very, very careful with snow and with ice. Post holing is also a danger when you're walking on snow, and you have to be very careful, because if you do post hole, what I mean by that is when your leg goes all the way down in the snow instead of walking on top of the snow. But if your foot goes all the way down and there's rocks underneath that, you may twist an ankle, or, at the worst, break a leg or something. So you have to be very careful when you're walking on snow and ice. It was Easter morning when I first started my PCT hike. I was in the desert, and the winds picked up that night, and oh my goodness, it had to be at least 50-mile-an-hour winds, at least. And I didn't get much sleep that night, so I got up early and I started hiking out of that place that I had camped. And the winds just kept howling and literally knocked me off into the side of the mountain that I was walking on. And so you have to be very careful when the winds start picking up, because it can literally knock you off the trail. Now, if you're in a desert area, you have to watch out for blowing sand and things like that. And so I'll take my buff and I'll put it over my my mouth and my face, and only have just a little bit of my eyes exposed, so that the sand doesn't get into my lungs and in my mouth. Now, I was very fortunate to be in the desert during this windstorm, but if I'd been into like a forested area where there was a lot of trees, high winds can bring a danger of blowing trees down. They call those widow makers. A dead tree gets blown down, and you'll be in a world of hurt. Now, there were several times when I was on the Pacific Crest Trail that I was exposed to extreme cold. One day I woke up, and the top of the table that was by my campsite had water, had some kind of condensation on it, and it froze, and it was completely frozen. So it had to have gotten below freezing that night. But several times on the trail, I had situations where it was just extremely, extremely cold. Now, in that situation, you need to have, rather than just one big heavy coat or whatever, it's best to have several things that you can put on and take off to keep warm. The first layer would be the base layer. That would include your hiking shirt and your hiking pants and things like that. And then next would be the mid layer, and sometimes that would include either a fleece jacket or fleece coat, or maybe a down jacket, a down puffy, perhaps maybe something to put over your legs. And then you've got the outer layer. What I'll do is I will, if I'm cold, really cold, I'll get in my sleeping bag. But before that, I've got my base layer on. I sleep in my base layer, and then I will put my puffy jacket on. I'll put my rain pants on, and I'll put my hood over my puffy, and then I'll get into my sleeping bag. Now, if it gets real cold, I will also get my rain jacket and put my rain jacket on. I'll have a beanie hat that I'll put on my head also to keep my head warm, and then also a buff if you want to put it across your face to keep it warm. But again, the layering system is probably the best system to keeping warm during those extreme cold times. Now, because of government policies, among other things, in California, it seems like the Pacific Crest Trail has wildfires almost every year. You can pretty much kind of depend upon wildfire shutting certain parts of the Pacific Crest Trail down. It's obvious that wildfires are a thing at least on the Pacific Crest Trail, and so you have to really be aware of it, and you have to make precautions as you go through there. Now, not only is it dangerous, wildfires. Obviously, you could be burned up in a wildfire, but the smoke damage to your lungs is really bad. During that section of trail that I was on, where there was a lot of smoke from that wildfire, I put my buff over my face, and that helped extremely. Also, when I went by a water source, I would soak that buff and put it over my face again to keep that smoke from in your lungs. But boy, that smoke gets in your lungs and it burns your lungs. And some people have even gotten off trail because of it. So again, wildfires are very dangerous. And again, in some parts of the country, it's almost like a wildfire season that you're facing when you're out hiking. I downloaded an app to my phone, and I don't remember the name of it, but I think it had to do with the Forest Service, that you could type in where you were, or you can take the GPS coordinates of where you were, and it would show you the fires, if any, that were around that particular place that you were at. Again, to kind of give you a heads up on which direction that fire is going in. Now, being outside and on the trail is a tremendous, tremendous experience like none other. But again, it does come with risk, and it does come with certain precautions that you have to make sure that you are aware of as you go out hiking. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you were helped by it. And so the next time that you go out backpacking or hiking or through hiking, you'll be aware of the weather conditions that you'll be facing. So be sure and give me a thumbs up on this video. Like, subscribe, share, and comment below. Also, if you'd like to check out some other videos on backpacking and hiking and through hiking, then please be sure and check out the videos on the screen there. And until then, I will see you down the trail.